The Social here on talkSPORT 2 with myself, Flex, and Dan Bardell will be taking you through to 5:30. Another terrible week for Manchester United, my team. An awful week out of the FA Cup as the holders on penalties to Fulham at Old Trafford. And it just continues to go from worse to worse for Manchester United. And more pain, to be honest. Look, the game against Fulham, it was quite an even game, to be fair. Both teams had chances. It wasn't a disaster class for Man United in 90 minutes or 120 minutes, if I'm honest. But it just highlights all the things that we have wrong. We don't have a consistent goal scorer. Bruno's the only person who can be relied upon to do something. So again, my pushback towards Roy Keane and the comments that we'll talk about that. Patrick Dorgu was missing, so you're back to Mazraoui and Dalot in opposite sides. Just not great. There's nothing more. I feel like there's nothing more left to say about this Man United team. We know it's awful. We know it needs reconstructing. We know it needs knocking down and building again. And Ruben Amorim's got to get to the summer and start fixing it. I know that the big question marks are: is he even going to get to the summer? And is he going to get sacked before that? He's not going to. He's not. Manchester United.
Walk?
No, because he has to get not before the summer. He wants to get to the summer to start getting his players in. Maybe if he doesn't get supported in the summer and it didn't go the way he was told it was going to go, that's a different story. But as a United fan, I'm not going to sit here and say I think he's going to walk out the club. Also, he's proud. I get it. His reputation's been shot to bits now already. You know, he's come in as a young aspiring coach who's doing big things in Portugal, doing really well at Sporting, and now the football world's looking at him going, he's a pretender. He's just someone who talks nice in the press conferences. He's someone who just dresses good and has a bit of charm. So he will absolutely want to keep going. And he said, I'm here for 2.5 years initially. That's enough time to see whether I'm the right man for the job or not after 3 months. So it's an awful time. The injuries have come at the wrong time. A red card to Dorgu's come at a bad time. And what he inherited is not good enough. And he's made mistakes along the way as well. He's trying different players in different positions. He's trying things, but he has to try things. He has to work out who can play in certain positions, who can be asked to do more, who doesn't fit into his system, so that when we do get to summer, it's ruthless time. He knows exactly who needs to go, exactly who needs to get in, and Man United can start to unpick this mess.
I don't mind that he's trying things, because he almost said that himself when he joined, that was what he was going to have to do, and that there was going to be an element of rotation with this Manchester United side. I don't mind that he's wed to the system. There's absolutely no chance, though, that you've got the players to play that system, which does kind of lead the question of should he change things. But then he's got his principles. It's a difficult one. I can understand both sides of the argument there, but I think ultimately he's got his way. So Manchester United, that's what he wants to build. I read something interesting earlier on.
Was it in The Guardian?
No, it was not in The Guardian on this occasion. It was Football 365. Basically, it was analysing the top 10 worst decisions of the season in the Premier League from across the board.
All of them, yeah.
And number 2, I think, was Manchester United going for Amorim. Number 1,
actually going for
Amorim saying yes.
Yeah.
Do you think if he could turn back time, Amorim, do you still think he'd do it?
Well, he said in the interview, if you would have told him that it would have been this bad, he wouldn't have believed you. So
I think,
he's also said many times that he didn't want to come now. He wanted to come in the summer, and United gave him an ultimatum.
Why didn't they get him in the summer?
I think the thinking behind it, Dan, is the fact they didn't want to give up on the season. At the time he got here, we were only like 4 or 5 points off top 4.
But why didn't they get him?
Get him in the summer. Sorry, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
why
Crookie,
on earth did they stick with Ten Hag? What were they thinking?
Speaking to Crookie during the week on Inside Devils, and it's well known, Crookie's, I think, has said quite a few times that United turned him down in the summer. Didn't want him in the summer.
Apparently, they didn't want a systems manager.
Yeah,
and then they've hired a systems manager.
You read these sorts of things, and but Ruben Amorim had been looked at by a host of clubs, but apparently Manchester United didn't want him in the summer, which again, it shows the incompetence of. Actually, now we change our mind. Now we do. And then you force him out of Sporting because you want to save the season. Okay, a little bit of intent there. But you weaken the side by getting Marcus Rashford and Anthony out. So that's 2 attackers down in January.
Who have both done well elsewhere. As has everybody who's left Man United in the recent past. But you then don't bring in any attackers. You don't have any resources to do that. Then Ahmad gets injured a week later for the rest of the season. He was a bright spark. And you're left with
Rasmus Højlund up front. And now you've got to promote Chido Obi, the young kid from Arsenal, who's barely played a game in the under-21s. He's absolutely smashed it at under-18 levels straight away. But guess what? Here's what's going to happen, Dan. Chido's going to start playing games. He's probably going to get infected and with the gene at United, which is, hardly getting chances, or he's not really scoring, and then all of a sudden the fans are going to start to go, oh, maybe he's not as good as we thought. It's ridiculous. We have to go to a 17-year-old who shouldn't really have to be called upon now.
It's not the time, is it?
It's not the time.
In some ways, if you're not going to blood youngsters now, though, you're never going to blood them. But it's just not a great environment to come into, is it? Who's going to thrive? You've got to be something special to thrive in that environment, like Ahmad was.
100%.
That's hard to find.
With what's happening right now, though, I want to get your take on this, actually, because I talk about this every day, right? And I'm emotionally invested.
Sick of it.
Yeah, I am sick of it. But I do like to listen when neutrals talk sometimes. Where do you stand with the blame that is on Amorim? Because a lot of pundits in the media are saying, and even United legends, nah, not for me. He hasn't done enough. A good manager can always adapt, and that's not a good manager if he's saying, I'm just sticking to my principles. A lot of other people are saying, absolutely right. You've been brought in to bring a culture, to bring a system, to bring a style. Stick with it. Weed out the players who can't play it, and get the players in that can. Where do you stand on how much to blame Ruben Amorim is right now?
I think if you were to put it into brackets of the manager, the players, INEOS and the Glazers, I think he'd have the least amount of blame. But I don't think he's blameless.
No.
He's picking the team every week. He's sending them out to play and they're not getting results. So there's absolutely no way that he can be blameless. I just think he's probably got the least portion of the blame. Just seems to me now with Manchester United, you've obviously had years of hounding the Glazers, not wanting the Glazers, which is completely fair. I completely understand it. So Jim Radcliffe and INEOS have now come in, but now they don't look like the right kind of people either. They're making some strange decisions, some horrible decisions. So you've now got the Glazers that you don't really want there and that you don't like. Now you've got INEOS as well, who don't really seem to be much more switched on than the Glazers, in my opinion. So you've now got an extra layer of problems that you didn't have before. Is that fair?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you just said there. I think the problem at Man United is that it's so bad. We struggle in petitioning blame, because the biggest single reason why Man United is how it is because of the Glazer family.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Well, they're the catalyst, aren't they?
They are the catalyst. They are the reason. They are why Manchester United has fallen to the depths it has, because they've allowed this to happen as bad owners. That's the first thing, which is why Manchester United fans want the Glazers to have a full sale of the club and completely clear off. Just get out. You've run this club into the ground. Secondly, INEOS are now becoming complicit because they're viewed as you're working with them and you're now a shield for the Glazers, and you're taking away from the impact that they've made, and now you're making bad decisions as well. So you're just as bad is what some fans are saying. But look, they can't be expected to come in a year and change all the failings of the previous 20. So I understand that, but they've made some bad decisions. But a manager, you're in control of the team, you're in control of the tactics, you're in control of the style, you're in control of, can you get them motivated? Will they run for you? Will they change? But then people understand how bad these players have been and what was left. So Ruben Amorim is not blameless. Of course not. He says himself, I'm not doing a good enough job. I'm not. If you would have told me it would have been like this, I wouldn't have believed you. So he knows he's not doing a good enough job. But he's learning. He has to get to the summer. He's got to change things. I know people are saying change the formation and change this. I don't think it's that. I think he just has to find a different way. It's less about the formation as how does he find a way to get the players to buy in. That's where he's got to earn his money. If you're going to stick with that system, fine. But it's about the attitude and the application of the players.
Do you think it's a lack of application? I don't watch Manchester United and think the players aren't trying.
Well, everything's very slow and lethargic.
I just watch them and think they're not good enough.
And, well, a lot of other people say they don't look like they know what they're doing.
I don't think a lot of those players are tactically switched on enough to do what
to carry out the instructions.
To do.
Which is why the pushback is, they're tactically inept doing that.
Why is Bruno still playing well? Because he's a good player.
Yeah.
The others, they've now tried to fit in under numerous different managers in numerous different systems, and they can't do it because they're not good enough footballers to play for Manchester United.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be talking about Manchester United being 15th and being knocked out of cups.
That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be this bad.
All we've got left is the Europa League.
It shouldn't be this bad. Even with everything that's going on, we still shouldn't be 15th.
No.
I'm not having that.
No.
Also this week, according to Gary Lineker, it's Sir Alex Ferguson's fault that
we may as well be blaming you if we're going to be blaming Sir Alex Ferguson.
The club is a mess because he left them with a poor squad in 2013.
Left them with the squad that won the league. Won the league.
He left them with the best striker in the league at the time. He left them with Wayne Rooney, who was 27 at the time. He left them with an up-and-coming Danny Welbeck, who was 22. And Adnan Januzaj, who's 18.
De Gea was top of his game at that point.
De Gea was top of his game.
Nani Vidic, was it?
Yeah. Nani, Evra was still there. That was some of the older players. Ashley Young, Zaha. Obviously, that was one of the first side. The first side didn't go to plan, but he left him. Kagawa's come in from Dortmund, so and they just won the league. I just think that's such a cop out. Was it the best squad ever? Did Fergie understand when it was time to leave, etc., etc.? But I just think for how long he reigned. Nobody gets to question when that man leaves the football club. Nobody. I don't care who. He can leave that football club when he wants with what he's done. And I get it. You can say that it was an age in Rio and it was an age in Evra or this type of Vidic. Yeah, that's fine. The squad needs depth, but it's not Fergie's fault that they proceeded to make bad decisions after that when him and David Gill left the football club. It's pathetic.
They won the league under Alex Ferguson, so you've done the epitome of what you can do.
Left you as champions.
Obviously, Champions League would have been great, but your domestic world, you've won a league. He can't then be held responsible for everything that's happened after that. He left you when you'd won the league. The bad decisions that have been made after that are absolutely nothing to do with it. Okay, Moyes was pretty much his appointment.
Yeah, you can say he had a hand in that, and that was the wrong decision.
This has all started with Manchester United from recruitment, and not selling players at the right time. That's not on Sir Alex Ferguson.
And this is another way where the conversation pivots from the Glazers to somebody else. Because again, how on earth we could even bring up Sir Alex's name with anything to do with the downfall of this club, I think is an actual disrespect to Sir Alex Ferguson. I think it's out of order to Alex Ferguson. And I think it's...
I'm surprised Lineker said that, to be honest.
Exactly. I just think, again, it's people just not choosing to look at the real issues and
Did you do that on his podcast?
Pardon?
Did you do that on his podcast? Did he say that? Or was it on Match of the Day?
I don't know if it was Match of the Day.
Did anyone agree with him when he said that?
I don't know. I just know that.
Well, you don't.
I just know that I don't, and it's absolutely shocking that he's gone on to say that. You listen to The Social here on talkSPORT 2. Next up, it's William Hill.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.